This show is brought to you by Directory.com, the safest way to hire a contractor.
And we are back. Let's talk about false advertising. And this one is big. This is one of the biggest stories today. Serious talk about manufacturer promising. So this one hits close to home. We're in Twin Cities. We actually experienced this a lot. In the 2000s, CertainTeed sold weatherboard fiber cement siding. It was marketed as long-lasting and high-performing and sold with a 50-year warranty. What we see also in the roofing space today, a lot of 50-year shingles that last 15, 18 years. But homeowners across the country began to notice major issues: warping, cracking, shrinking, bowing, and other signs of early failure. I actually inspected a lot of CertainTeed siding jobs back in the day. The first lawsuit was filed in 2010. As more cases came in, they were combined. This became one of the largest class action settlements involving building products affecting around 300,000 homes and buildings. Homeowner claims. Homeowners said that CertainTeed siding did not last anywhere near the promised 50 years. Instead of holding up, the boards failed early, showing gaps, cracks, and warping, and sometimes require full wall replacements. They said CertainTeed's warranty was not enough to cover replacement cost, and the other side, CertainTeed, defended themselves, and they argue it's met all ASTM's industry and company standards, and that most failures came from poor installation or storage. Of course, the company pointed to its 50-year limited warranty, full labor and material coverage only for the first 2 years, the sure start period. After that, materials only, no labor, with a 2% annual proration. CertainTeed also claimed that most customers have no issues with the products. From 1999 to 2013, CertainTeed processed 19,520 siding warranty claims, just 1.7% of all sales. That's crazy, but it's still 20,000 claims. And I guarantee you a lot of people just did not file, because how many people do that? So here's the outcome. In 2014, both sides agreed to $103 million in settlement. Homeowners could file claims for cash payouts to help cover the cost of replacing defective siding, including labor and paint, not just materials. Unlike the old warranty, the settlement also allowed full wall replacements if more than 5% of the siding on that wall was damaged. Payments were prorated based on how long the siding had been installed. Newer installs got more money. All payments were based on RS means, a respected national construction cost estimator. Homeowners would get 50% of their claim up front and possibly more later if money remained in the fund. Claims allowed for up to 6 years with the warranty rights still intact. So I'm sitting here with the two public adjusters. My question to you guys: why so many claims like this go through insurance claims? Because I do see stuff like this happens, and rarely insurance company would pass it to the manufacturer. If you have bad shingles, bad siding, and you have a hail claim, for example, and it's falling apart, so now it's act of God. So there's 20,000 claims here, but I would argue a lot of it also have been destroyed by the hail, because if it's already warping and damaging, it only takes one bad weather event to add to the problem, to the failing product. It's hard to argue, is it manufacturer defect or is the weather event? So why do state insurance companies do not go after manufacturers?
I would say that the insurance companies, most of the time, the claim's not being paid out for that reason, right? And you can typically tell the manufacturing defects versus hail damage, right? CertainTeed shingles, all these other ones out there where you've seen this, you can decipher it pretty easily. Typically, they're paying for it because they pay for some damage, and then to your point, yes, it gets open because they're discontinued products, because the repairability aspect of it. But I don't know if it's necessarily worth it. Jack, what's your thoughts?
Well, thinking through this, you're talking about multi-billion-dollar corporations, right? And I don't think State Farm wants to go to war with CertainTeed or vice versa. So I think it's easier as a carrier not to bring this to light, because they don't want to start they want to pick on someone smaller than themselves, not equal or bigger than, or almost, right? So I mean, they all have attorneys lined up from here to wherever. So thinking logically, business-wise, it makes a lot of sense not to bring that up, just to deny the claim and move along. I mean, in theory, you would think, thinking through this, that if it is a weather-related event that hits a shingle or siding, and there is damage, but the damage or the existing product is defective, you think they would help facilitate that to get some of their costs back, but they certainly don't do so. And I'm sure there's some backrooms dealing. I'm guessing there's some backrooms in dealing there, so that doesn't come to light, because it makes a hell of a lot of sense, you would think, right?
Well, I would say, like, to your thought process of, hey, like, they get hit by storms and so they'll end up paying for them. We deal with a lot of residential claims, and a lot of them, they come out and they go, it's not damage, that's all manufacturing defects. So I think there's almost a balance to it, that the number that get paid out that's actually manufacturing defects that the insurance adjuster thinks is storm damage, there's also just as many where there's legitimate storm damage, but they disregard it because of the manufacturer defects or because of the installation issues.
Well, my biggest question about siding and roofing, they use it as a acts of gods, right? So there's disclaimers in manufacturer warranties against acts of God.
Sure.
But there's actual promise that it's 130 mile an hour shingle. Well, a lot of it goes away at like 60 or 70 miles.
Yeah.
Why insuring company is paying for it where it's obviously fault of the product? Because they come and write a check even though the product has 130 mile warranty.
I see what you're saying.
Once again, it's a loaded question. So in theory, it's supposed to withstand those winds, but it's probably easier just to pay the claim than to fight the other corporation, is my feeling. If I'm State Farm or Farmers or Allstate, I'm probably investing heavily into the world's best shingle ever. And I would figure some sort of way to make a 30-year shingle an actual 30-year shingle, because if they can
State Farm asphalt shingles come out.
.com.
Well, you're seeing this, though. It's trend in a lot of markets, the fortified roofing systems, right? Where you get a claim and your insurance company's coming back saying, hey, we'll pay to tape the seams, re-nail decking, use class 4 shingles, synthetic underlayment.
So making it better.
We'll pay, and it's additional, typically like 50% on average, sometimes 30 to 50% on a roof. Like, hey, we'll pay to upgrade it so you don't have these issues. But to your point, most of the stuff nowadays doesn't hold up. I know manufacturers come after me, but like, these shingles aren't going to hold up on 130 mile an hour wind. They're going to peel off like a sheet. So what's the accountability? Because this hasn't changed.
The problem is too, every I have a home in Arizona. It's 175 degrees on those roofs a lot of days. That shingle is going to wear differently here than it will in Phoenix or in Oklahoma or Texas or wherever. So I think it's just a big stupid branding thing, right? It's 50-year shingle. People think they're going to be fine and you're not. You're fine for 20 years, maybe.
But it's false advertising. What should be a reasonable fine for that? Because we used to have 25, 30-year shingle, and now it became 50, which is marketing gimmick, right? Shingles did not get better, but paperwork improved. But it's false advertising. Why can't we go after them? And why government is not making them accountable? You can't advertise that. You can't say.
I would say because no one's raising a stink. To Jack's point, the insurance companies aren't going to fight back against them because it's not going to make sense. To your point about the little people getting screwed, you'd have to get so many homeowners banded together to do anything on it. Good luck. It's almost impossible. So I feel like they can get away with it.
Right here, it costs, why they don't learn from this? It cost them $100 million. So CertainTeed has to pay 100. I mean, they're a $50 billion company. So it's like $100 speeding ticket to you.
Yeah, there's probably an algorithm that insurance companies know. They have these algorithms for every dollar they collect. X amount's going to go towards litigation, X amount's going to go towards a claim. It's all predetermined. So they probably knew in the back of their secret meetings that they're going to have to pay $100 million in fines over the next 20 years, but they're going to make $1 billion off that $100 million. I'd take that bet all day, right? Financially.
They're still making that bet. Go online and search lifetime shingle. Every single manufacturer nowadays has lifetime shingles, and then you read the lifetime.
I hate it with passion. I hate it. If you guys want to know who makes the best shingle, go to Roofing Insights Guide, and I'll tell you. But here's some crazy number. The craziest number I've seen today: From 1999 to 2013, CertainTeed processed 19,520 claims, right? Warranty claims. Just 1.7% of all sales. So these manufacturers, they know their numbers. They know their failure rate. Like imagine if 1.7, so they made money on 100% of their jobs, and 1.7 just claims. First of all, they could easily replace. They could write a freaking check. It's like, okay, we're gonna redo it. We sold you a bad product. It's falling apart, right? You have the money. You could easily write $100 million check and
well,
make
once
it
again,
right.
I'm sure they knew that going in. They put that facto in their profit and loss statement. Like we know we're going to lose 1.7%.
It's less than credit card fee, 1.7% failure. Like, and that's with a product that's fallen apart, that obvious.
What do you think the solution is? Do you think this is legislation should come in and do something about this, or
I think
how do they get held accountable for it?
I think false marketing should be, the fines for false marketing should be like Home Advisors just got like $7 million fine for false advertising. I think this number, $100 million, should be fined by the government for false advertising. We should not be even waiting for the products to fail. We'll be like, oh, you advertise 50-year shingle when its life expectancy is like Minnesota Department of Labor publicly says life expectancy of asphalt shingle is 15 to 18 years, right? When the manufacturer says it's 50, no, you will not find it's 50, right? So make them pay for false advertising.
Or just say it's a 20-year shingle and call it a day.
So step number one, fines for false advertising. Step number two, manufacturers should step up and just replace the products like that 1-2%, write a check on the spot.
You know, I know we're short on time here, but I think the what will come to terms is that the average home was selling every like 7 years, right?
Yep.
And now we've seen the last 3 years, 4 years where home sales have gone way down. People are holding homes longer. So people installed these products are now going to deal with it in that same ownership span. I bet there's going to be a large spike of this that was unpredicted for.
100% agree. When we come back, we have one more spicy story for you inside the $1.3 billion drywall disaster. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back.